Now let's tell you about the High Court in Johannesburg. It has ruled that Ernest Dipale did not commit suicide in 1982, but that his death was caused by the actions of the security police officers at the time stationed at the infamous John Voster Police Station. Mnisi is in court and he joins us now for a debrief in terms of what we witnessed and heard inside the court. Linda, a brief introduction into who Dipale is firstly.
Well, you remember, Dudu, Ernest Dipale was an anti-apartheid activist and one of the, people that died in police detention. So since his death in 1982, his family has never really known what happened. The allegation, or what they were told, was that, he had committed suicide inside his prison cell, but they believed the contrary, saying that someone could have been behind this particular, or his death. You'll remember there was also, an inquest looking into his death around the 1980s, and that inquest did not find anybody responsible for his death. In fact, it was reflected at length, through today's judgment, looking at, of course, the lack of paperwork that was in that particular matter, and how, there was not much really that this court could work with in terms of why that particular magistrate reached the conclusion that he did. The court saying that all that was available was, amongst others, that, there were 3 witnesses who testified then, but it's unclear what exactly they testified about. So this time around, this inquest, having been opened in 2021, had to look at, of course, a number of testimonies that were, given to this particular court, and some even detailing, the kind of, death that, he suffered around perhaps also the rope that was supposedly used when, the hanging took place, and it was said to be by, of course, the lost pattern of a blanket, but also a witness coming to tell the court that that particular blanket was so strong that nobody could cut it by hand. So essentially, even suggesting that someone had to be with Ernest Dipale in his prison cell when he, when the hanging took place. So the court then reaching that at this particular point, it can't really say who exactly hanged Ernest Dipale, but it's quite clear that he did not commit suicide. And this is, attributed to the actions, or his death was as a result of the actions of the security police officers stationed, of course, at the infamous John Voster, prison in Johannesburg. It's made a recommendation because the court says it has its own suspicions around who could be behind this, naming Nicholas Deflets as well as Joe Mamasela. Joe Mamasela, one of the people who also testified in this matter. It has ordered that further investigations be conducted. But the family says, well, at this particular point, this court has, after many years, confirmed what we've always been saying.
And of course, we got reaction from his family after so many years. What does this mean for them?
Well, Dudu, it's quite, emotional scenes were playing out just outside this courtroom that I'm standing in today. And they're saying that, it's not the end of the road. They're quite glad that they were able to get to this point. They reflected on what it feels like to, in your heart, know what could have happened, but not having it officially said, or the people that you think could have done it not being held liable, because of course there's that issue around the evidence. They say the truth has been vindicated today, and that officially now it's on record that their relative did not commit suicide in police custody, and that someone could have been behind his death. They say this particular ruling opens the door for more investigations to be conducted, but also for them getting closer to whoever could have been, behind Ernest's death. So it's quite interesting watching his family members tearing Joyce Dipale, who was his sister, and had to testify about what they had to endure during that time. Quite emotional, about this particular judgment. The rest of the family is reflecting on Joyce's reaction, saying that she is one person that never really cries, when certain things happen. But this is something that she was waited for a very, very long time, considering that when she went into exile in Botswana, she went with, of course, her brother. Her brother was there with her at a certain point while she was there. So today is the day that they rejoice that after so many years, they get to really have the truth on paper.
Linda Mnisi at the High Court in Johannesburg, thank you very much for that detail.